Okay. Oh, it's my shit. I used to love Deja Low.
Be a year.
Oh
But potentially also lesser periods than this.
I'd be like, should we
Days and hours are perceptible lengths of time. The inquiry concerning children that do not bear refers to those who do not attain it all the time. Perish in something less than time through excess of the evil influence. For this reason, the investigation of the former question is more complex, but this is simpler. For it is merely the case that if one of the luminaries is angular and one of the maleficent planets is in conjunction with it, or in opposition, both in degrees and with equality of distance, while no beneficent planet bears any aspect, and if the lord of the luminaries is found in that places of the maleficent planets, the child that is born will not be reared, but will at once come to its end. But if this comes about without the equality of distance, but the shafts of the maleficent planets succeed closely with the places of the luminaries, and there are two maleficent planets, and if they afflict either one or both of the luminaries, either by succeeding them or by opposition, or if one afflicts one luminary and the other the other in turn, or if one afflicts by opposition and the other by succeeding the luminary, in this way too, children are born that do not live. For the number of afflictions dispels all that is favorable to length of life because of the distance of the maleficent planets through its succession. Mars especially afflicts the Sun by succeeding it, and Saturn the Moon. But conversely, in opposition or in superior position, Saturn afflicts the Sun and Mars the Moon, most of all if they occupy as rulers the places of the luminaries or of the horoscope. But if there chance to be two oppositions, when the luminaries are at angles and the maleficent planets are in an isosceles configuration, then the infants are born dead or half dead. And in such circumstances, if the luminaries should chance to be removing from conjunction with one of the beneficent planets, or are in some other aspect to them, but nevertheless cast their rays into the parts that precede them, the child that is born will live a number of months or days, or even hours, equal to the number of degrees between the progenitor and the nearest rays of the maleficent planets, in proportion to the greatness of the affliction and the power of the planets ruling the cause. But if the rays of the maleficent planets fall before the luminaries, and those of the beneficent behind them, the child that has been exposed will be taken up and will live. And again, if the maleficent planets overcome the beneficent ones that bear an aspect upon the geniture, they will live to affliction and subjection. But if the beneficent planets overcome, they will live but as supposititious children of other parents. And if one of the beneficent planets should either by rising or applying to the moon, while one of the maleficent planets is setting, they will be reared by their own parents. And the same methods of judgment are to be used also in cases of multiple births. But if one of the planets that 2 by 2 or in larger groups bears an aspect to the geniture is at setting, the child will be born half dead, or a mere lump of flesh, and imperfect. But if the maleficent planets overcome them, the infant born subject to this influence will not be reared or will not survive. Of length of life. The consideration of the length of life takes the leading place among inquiries about events following birth, for, as the ancients say, it is ridiculous to attach particular predictions to one who, by the constitution of the years of his life, will never attain at all to the time of the predicted events. This doctrine is no simple matter, nor unrelated to others, but in complex fashion derived from the domination of the places of greatest authority. The method most pleasing to us, and besides in harmony with nature, is the following. For it depends entirely upon the determination of the prerogative places and the stars that rule the prorogation, and upon the determination of the destructive places or stars. Each of these is determined in the following fashion. In the first place, we must consider those places prerogative in which by all means the planet must be that is to receive the lordship of the prorogation, namely the 12th part of the zodiac surrounding the horoscope from 5 degrees above the actual horizon up to the 25 degree that remains, which is rising in succession to the horizon. The part sextile dexter to those 30 degrees, called the house of the good daimon, the part in quartile, the mid-heaven, the part in trine, called the house of the god, and the part opposite, the occident. Among these there are to be preferred, with reference to power of domination, first those which are in the mid-heaven, then those in the orient, then those in the sign succeedent to the mid-heaven, then those in the occident, then those in the sign rising before the mid-heaven. For the whole region below the earth must, as is reasonable, be disregarded when a domination of such importance is concerned, except only those parts which are in the ascendant sign itself, coming into the light. Of the part above the earth, it is not fitting to consider either the sign that is disjunct from the ascendant, nor that which rose before it, called the house of the evil daimon, because it injures the emanation from the stars in it to the earth, and is also declining, and the thick, misty exhalation from the moisture of the earth creates such a turbidity, and, as it were, obscurity, that the stars do not appear in either their true colors or magnitudes. After this again, we must take as prerogatives the 4 regions of greatest authority: sun, moon, horoscope, the lot of fortune, and the rulers of these regions. Take as the lot of fortune always the amount of the number of days, both by night and by day, which is the distance from the sun to the moon, and which extends to an equal distance from the horoscope in the order of the following signs, in order that, whatever relation and aspect the sun bears to the horoscope, the moon also may bear to the lot of fortune, and that it may be, as it were, a lunar horoscope. Of these, by day we must give first place to the sun, if it is in the prerogative places; if not, to the moon; and if the moon is not so placed, to the planet that has the most relations of domination to the sun, to the preceding conjunction, and to the horoscope. That is, when, of the 5 methods of domination that exist, it has 3 to 1, or even more. But if this cannot be, then finally we give preference to the horoscope. By night, prefer the moon first, next the sun, next the planets having the greater number of relations of domination to the moon, to the preceding full moon, and to the lot of fortune. Otherwise, finally, if the preceding syzygy was a new moon, the horoscope; but if it was a full moon, the lot of fortune. But if both the luminaries or the rule of the proper sect should be in the prerogative places, we must take the one of the luminaries that is in the place of greatest authority, and we should prefer the ruling planet to both of the luminaries only when it both occupies a position of greater authority and bears a relation of domination to both the sects. When the prerogator has been distinguished, we must still further adopt 2 methods of prorogation. The one, that which follows the order of the following signs, must be used only in the case of what is called the projection of rays, when the prerogator is in the orient, that is,